Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure you're part of our journey. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready for a story that will leave you thinking. And if you love inspiring tales, a like goes a long way. That's not my problem, ma'am. The words hung in the air like a slap. The young mother's face flushed crimson as she frantically searched her wallet again, the little girl clutching the package of cookies to her chest. Around them, the grocery store's fluorescent lights seemed to grow harsher, illuminating everyone's discomfort. The line behind her shifted impatiently. Friday evening, 15 minutes until closing, and the checkout lanes were packed with exhausted shoppers eager to start their weekends. The cashier's voice grew louder, designed to humiliate. "You'll need to put items back or step aside." The mother's hands trembled as she tried to calculate which necessities she could afford to keep. What no one noticed was the man in the baseball cap and worn jeans at the back of the line, quietly observing. His eyes, kind but piercing, took in every detail of the unfolding scene. In that ordinary grocery store, on that ordinary evening, an extraordinary act of kindness was about to change everything. If this moment made you feel something, imagine what's coming next. Hit that like button and stay with us. Subscribe now. The young mother bit her lip, fighting back tears. Her daughter sensed the tension, small fingers tightening around the cookie package that now seemed impossibly heavy. "Mommy," she whispered, eyes wide with confusion. The mother stroked her daughter's hair, a gesture of reassurance she didn't feel. Her mind raced through impossible calculations. The rent was late, daycare costs had increased, and her last paycheck had gone mostly to car repairs she couldn't have postponed. Tonight's groceries were already the bare minimum: milk, bread, eggs, some fruit, and those cookies. A small reward she'd promised her daughter for being brave at the doctor's earlier that day. The cashier's impatience grew visible. His fingers drummed against the register as he made a show of checking the time. "Look, I don't make the rules. If you can't pay, you can't take the items." His voice carried deliberately down the line, inviting others to share in his frustration. Some shoppers averted their eyes, finding sudden interest in magazine covers or their phones. Others exchanged knowing glances or muttered comments about being prepared or living within your means. The collective embarrassment thickened the air. The mother began the humiliating process of deciding which necessities to surrender, each item representing another small defeat in her daily battle to provide. "Maybe the cookies, honey," she whispered, reaching for the package her daughter clutched. The little girl's eyes welled with tears, her small chest heaving with the effort not to cry in public. This small disappointment somehow encapsulated everything. Every promise the mother couldn't keep, every treat she couldn't provide, every normal childhood experience that poverty made complicated. Meanwhile, the man in the baseball cap had moved slightly closer, now standing just 3 customers behind. His face remained partially shadowed, but there was something in his posture, an attentiveness, a readiness, that set him apart from the others in line. He watched not with the morbid curiosity of a spectator to someone else's misfortune, but with the focused attention of someone measuring a situation before acting. Things are about to take a turn. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe, like our video, and keep watching. The little girl's resistance was instant and heartbreaking. She clutched the cookies tighter, shaking her head. "But you said I was brave today," she whispered, each word striking her mother like a physical blow. The cashier's sigh was theatrical, designed to be heard by everyone. "Ma'am, we're closing soon." His eyes flicked to the growing line behind her. An older man near the front huffed loudly. "Some of us have places to be." A woman checking her watch added, This is ridiculous. The public condemnation hung heavy, transforming a private struggle into a public spectacle. The mother's hands shook as she pulled out her phone, desperately checking her banking app one more time, knowing the balance hadn't magically changed. The screen confirmed what she already knew: insufficient funds. The man in the baseball cap moved forward slightly, his presence somehow commanding attention without demanding it. Something in his movement caused a woman nearby to look twice, her expression shifting from irritation to surprise. She nudged her companion, whispering something that made him turn and stare. A ripple of recognition began spreading through the line. The cashier, oblivious to this shift, continued his performance of inconvenience. "Look, you need to make a decision now. Which items are you keeping?" His voice had taken on an edge of cruel enjoyment, the small power he wielded over someone vulnerable becoming intoxicating. The mother was now fumbling with items, trying to calculate their cost, her daughter's face crumpling as she watched her mother's humiliation deepen with each passing second. The little girl finally released her grip on the cookies, silent tears tracking down her cheeks. "I'll just take the milk and bread," the mother finally said, her voice barely audible. The words seemed to cost her something essential, some fragment of dignity impossible to recover. The cashier's face showed no compassion as he voided the transaction to start over. The mother bent to whisper to her daughter, "I'm sorry, baby. Next time." It was a promise she had no certainty of keeping. The atmosphere in the checkout area had changed, though. The initial impatience had given way to something else, a mixture of discomfort and anticipation. More people were noticing the man now moving steadily forward through the line. Someone whispered, "Is that who I think it is?" Another person took out their phone discreetly. The cashier remained focused on his register, unaware that the dynamics of the situation were shifting. He had no idea that the man now stepping forward would transform this ordinary moment of cruelty into something extraordinary. This story is only getting deeper. What would you do in this situation? Comment below, and let's talk. "Excuse me." The voice was quiet, but carried a gentle authority that made conversations pause and heads turn. The man stepped forward, removing his baseball cap. The overhead fluorescence revealed what some had already suspected: the unmistakable features of Keanu Reeves. The transformation in the store was immediate. Phones appeared, whispers intensified, but Keanu seemed oblivious to the attention. His focus remained entirely on the mother and child. "I'd like to pay for their groceries." He spoke directly to the cashier, whose expression cycled rapidly through shock, recognition, and embarrassment. "The original order, please." Everything she had. The mother turned, confusion giving way to recognition, then to disbelief. Her daughter, sensing the shift in energy, looked up, wiping tears with the back of her small hand. The cashier fumbled with the register, suddenly deferential. "Of course, Mr. Reeves. Right away." The items reappeared, including the cookies, which Keanu gently handed to the little girl. "I heard you were brave today," he said, his voice warm. The mother found her voice, though it trembled. "I can't accept." Keanu shook his head slightly. "Please, it would make my day." There was something in his demeanor that transcended celebrity, a genuine humanity that made his action not charity, but connection. The store had fallen completely silent now, every person frozen in place, witnessing this moment. The previous complainers looked away, shame evident in their postures. Phones recorded discreetly, but nobody interfered. The cashier, who minutes ago had wielded his tiny power with such cruelty, now processed the transaction with exaggerated care and politeness. As the transaction completed, Keanu helped bag the groceries with the natural ease of someone who'd bagged his own groceries 1,000 times. The mother's eyes welled with tears different from those of moments before. "Thank you," she said, the words inadequate for the gift she'd received. Not just groceries, but dignity restored. The little girl looked up at Keanu with the unfiltered admiration only children can express. "Are you a superhero?" she asked. Something flickered across Keanu's face, a mixture of genuine amusement and something deeper, perhaps remembering the heroes he'd portrayed. "No," he said gently, "just someone who's been where your mom is." He spoke these words quietly, meant for her alone, but they carried in the silence of the store. This wasn't just a celebrity being generous for show. This was a human being who understood struggle, who remembered what it meant to not have enough, reaching back to help someone still in that place. It's not over yet. The best part is coming. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. The mother gathered her bags, her child, and her restored dignity. As they walked toward the exit, the other customers parted like a sea, many nodding respectfully or offering small smiles where minutes before there had been only judgment. Keanu quietly completed his own purchase, just a bottle of water and a magazine, refusing the cashier's stammered offer of a discount with a gentle shake of his head. The same cashier who had been so cruel now couldn't meet anyone's eyes, his earlier behavior thrown into sharp relief by Keanu's simple kindness. Outside in the parking lot, far from the cameras and attention, Keanu approached the mother once more. He pressed something into her hand, not just a few dollars, but enough to make a difference. "From one single parent to another," he said quietly. "Sometimes we all need a hand." By morning, the story had already begun spreading across social media. Videos taken in the store showed fragments of the encounter, but interestingly, not the final parking lot moment that remained private as Keanu had intended. Comment sections filled with similar stories of the actor's quiet generosity, many never reported, shared now by waitresses, drivers, and ordinary people who had experienced his kindness. The cashier, identified by his name tag in the videos, faced a different kind of viral attention. The store issued a public apology for the incident and announced additional training for staff on compassionate customer service. What made the story resonate wasn't just celebrity worship. It was the recognition of a fundamental truth: that kindness costs nothing, that everyone deserves dignity, and that true character shows itself not in how we treat the powerful, but in how we treat those who need help. 3 days later, the mother created a small social media account, not to capitalize on her viral moment, but to announce that she had started a community fund for parents in similar situations. She explained how the experience had shown her both the worst and best of humanity in the span of 15 minutes, and how she wanted to pay forward the kindness she'd received. The first donation came anonymously, but in an amount that matched exactly what Keanu had given her that night. Across comment sections and dinner tables, the story sparked conversations about compassion, about judgment, about the struggles we don't see in strangers' lives. And in grocery stores across the country, people began quietly paying for others' groceries. Not for recognition, not for viral fame, but because true kindness, as Keanu had demonstrated, isn't about who's watching. It's about recognizing our shared humanity in the moments when it matters most. Wow, what a story! If this moved you, imagine what else we have for you. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let us know what you think.